Yeah, because I honestly believe it doesn't matter what you do.
You just have to move.
Yeah.
Like, that's ultimate. Move where you will move 5 days a week.
You do not have to do the things you don't like in fitness. There's so many options. Welcome to the Forged in YO podcast. My name is Forge Master Ben, and with me is a very special guest, Seth Larson, founder and former owner of Cloud Peak CrossFit. Did I get it right this time?
Nice
You did.
job.
Ben.
Nice
Right.
job.
Crushed.
And, of course, we got Chancellor and Mike. Nobody cares about them. Who cares?
Yeah, seriously, we probably wouldn't have even done the podcast this week without Seth.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just kind of wanted to bring somebody in that's kind of, I'd say, relatively new to the culture at Forge here. You know, how long have you been here?
I think I came over in October
Yeah.
of last year. So
I've been here for a while.
bit.
Yeah.
5-6 months.
I just don't see him because he's up at the crack ass of dawn every day.
Oh, yeah.
There's still people who are here earlier than me. They're walking out. When I'm walking in, I'm like,
That's dedication.
yeah, for sure.
But I thought it would be cool to kind of hear Seth's story because very successful businessman himself, obviously very influential in the CrossFit world, especially here in Sheridan, being the founder of Cloud Peak CrossFit and the former owner. But first, before we get into that, it's a special day for Seth. He gets to hit the salts, and I don't know if he's ever...
You said you
I've barely sniffed them. I've never committed.
Ooh, you're going nose deep today.
gotta go nose deep.
Yeah. So,
right.
ready, boys?
Tears will be shed.
Shake,
shake, pank, pank.
Take it to the head.
Oh, mother. My left eye. Ooh.
That does happen.
Oh, God dang. That was a good one.
That one was the worst one I've done in a while.
That was all in my left nostril.
Yeah.
My right nostril didn't even feel it.
You're gonna give me yours. Mine was weak. Yeah, I'll take that one too. Mine's dead.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Not fair. You guys are the only ones crying.
Ugh, my left eye is like,
So-
that's good.
So see, Seth.
How many times do you do that in a podcast?
Oh, in the podcast, just
Podcast.
once.
Oh, just once.
Daily,
Like,
like 6 to 8.
6, 8, yeah.
okay, tell me, because I'm not a power lifter.
The science behind it.
Yeah, what's the science
Okay,
behind
do you
it?
want to hear the meathead answer?
Yes. 'cause
Okay,
I'm not.
here's the
I'm
meathead
telling-
answer for me. So when we're going into a lift, right? You kind of
It's okay, take a minute.
He loves lifting, dude. He's getting emotional.
I'm just
Going to lift.
it's been a while since I've been lifting.
Yesterday. Hi, my name is Chancellor.
Yeah. But when you're going into a lift, right, and your head is just full of all these cues and things that you're focused on, it's almost like that death by overanalysis, analysis paralysis. For me, what the salts do is it puts you into this panic mode where all you can think about is breathing. So
Yeah.
now you're not going to overthink your lift because you're just going to let muscle memory take over because you're fighting for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the science behind it, and I watched multiple videos on this, but it's actually shown to spike your adrenaline.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it
Well,
kind
I'm
of
a
gives
little
you.
shaky. I ain't gonna
Yeah,
lie.
So
right?
kind of like that meathead science thing, but it is like kind of a fight or flight reaction to that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But if you hit it all day long, every day, like we do, then
Just
Brain
the bump.
cells.
brain cell gets strong.
Get strong.
Brain
cell
cell gets
strong.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I can see that just to take your mind off. I saw that a lot coaching too. You'd give someone their lift would be really close, but they were in their own head because they're overthinking the movement, whether it's a clean or a snatch. And all you'd have to say is, hey, when you get set up on a snatch or something, I'd say, roll your hands forward. Think about that bar. That'll help keep that bar close to your body. And just by taking all the little white noise that they were hearing in their head and they focus on that one thing, it wasn't that I was like giving them this great cue. It just gave them the focus of something. Sorry, I'm hitting the
no, you're good. You're good.
focus of something that just that's what they thought about, and then they'd hit the lift, and it would work more often than not. So
that is a
probably
lot
similar.
wiser than just giving somebody a bottle of salt.
I don't know.
So we can learn a lot from
But
Seth.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like, what are you thinking about? Don't think anymore. Here's this.
You're tired of thinking.
Yeah.
No, but that's true because it's like everybody does it. I find myself doing it too, you
Yeah.
know, and that's usually when I have my worst lift is when I just let that, like you said, that white noise in the background kind of, dim my confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially under like a max lift. It's just like you could be overthinking, like you're going to miss, you're going to hurt yourself. I've never touched this weight. It's like, let's just get stupid for a second.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in those moments, you
thing.
just kind of let the muscle memory take over. You've practiced. That's what you train for, is those moments.
Right.
So, based on how you're training, and, that's kind of what our methodology here is like what our dynamic days are for, is just all technique. The more perfect reps you have is what you're going to revert to under max load. So hopefully you train right so that when you hit the salts, you revert to something good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And you don't have to think about all those cues.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'd like to start out with just, you had a question at first.
I did.
You go for it.
Okay.
You said your question,
All right.
yeah.
I just want to know, you learn a lot about someone. Everybody might be living the life they think they want to live. But if you could change your career into anything that you wanted, anything, what would it be?
Easy. Rock and roll singer.
Yeah, being a musician would be hard to beat.
Wow.
Yeah, or an actor. Always wanted to be.
You'd want the fame with no privacy.
1,000%.
Really?
I like those, I like Sleep Token, like a band that, like, they're mass singers, so they kind of keep their identity secret.
Not me. I want my
Chancellor wants the attention.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's pretty much why I lift, is for the gram anyways. I'm just kidding.
Speaking of it would be nice
you got
to have the
something in your
fortune.
mouth?
Yeah. Gum?
Swallow it.
Okay. Got it.
How about you, Ben?
What would I be?
Yeah.
Just quit everything. I don't know. This is where I think I was meant to be. Before
That's
this,
good.
I was graphic designer. So,
You'd make a good, like, full-time dungeon master.
oh yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, full-time dungeon master.
Yeah, if
Or
you know what that is.
yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Ben could also be like a movie announcer. Like you could do a voice acting for sure.
I don't know. Considering how many
The speaking part's
tapes we
hard.
took.
Yeah.
Cloud Peak.
Not live.
Cloud
Definitely
Peak
not live.
CrossFit.
You would not
It's
be
a
a
tongue
live.
twister.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
took 3 takes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be a live announcer. You could like do pre-recordings and
Yeah.
multiple takes.
Maybe in another life I'll get a studio and do recording on the side.
Let's shoot that question back at you, Seth.
If I could pick exactly what I wanted to do, you've watched Legends of the Fall, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah,
Okay, so
great
Bart
movie.
the bear that was in it.
Yeah.
The guy that raised him lives on this ranch and wrestles with that bear every day.
So
and
cool.
Large animals, whether it was lions, raising lions, tigers, bears, whatever, where you are their best friend.
Yeah.
That would be
That's
living
so cool.
pretty solitude life, other than working with the bear, and maybe you'd have to do movie type stuff. But
Yeah.
for the most part, you got your best friend Bart the bear or whoever, and I don't know. It's just a childhood.
That's
that sounds
like-
like
that's a lot more
I don't want
manly
the
than
fame at
us.
this point. I'm like, I don't want that.
I just kind of wanted to be Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I want to be a dungeon master.
Yeah.
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 Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be mine. Or what Avenger? I already know the answer to you meatheads probably, but what Marvel's character would you choose?
Oh, we got that one for sure. Mine's Thor. I have a lifting belt that has like Thor's slogan on it.
I guess
Thor's
that makes
Mjolnir
sense
hammer.
with your Lord of the
I always
Rings
looked up to Thor
infatuation
because,
and-
like, in the movies, he got really fat. He got to, like, fat Thor, and then he
Yeah.
got all
Fat
ripped
Thor's
again.
cool.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went through the same journey, and he was my inspiration the whole time. I was 300 pounds and leaned out, and I was just, like, watching Thor movies, and I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was my role model through that.
Yeah. Obviously, mine's going to go with the Hulk.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm going to actually switch that and just go with Thanos, because I just...
Oh, he beat
He's
Hulk up.
kind of a hero if you think about it, right? Like,
He's-
he
in his
saved the
mind he
world.
is, in his mind
I mean,
is,
he has
yeah.
some good points.
Yeah. Perfectly balanced as all things
I don't
should
think
be.
he should have gone 50 right down the middle.
Yeah.
There's a certain.
There's a good percentage.
There
Yeah.
is, I would say, at least 10-20% that could.
Yeah.
And justifiably, we could knock him out.
Yeah.
he could have just started.
And
Could have been a
Getting-
little. It shouldn't have been like 50-50.
Getting
So
rid
pick
of
some them.
Kid Spider-Man was a good call.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
he left like the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
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 But
What about you, Ben?
Ben.
Deadpool. Not an Avenger, but
Well, he wants to be.
But I joined him
He's
whenever
tried. He tried out.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, he's cool.
He's pretty
love
dang
Deadpool.
funny. Deadpool's pretty funny. A lot of one-liners in those that are
Yeah.
worth watching.
Well, Seth, so tell us kind of your story. Like, what did you do before Cloud Peak CrossFit? And then how did that come into reality and existence for you?
Well, I've always been into fitness. In high school, average to above average, a little above average probably, athlete, never a stellar, which was a small town Iowa kid. So always my class, there was never really a standout. We totally sucked at sports until, well, baseball we were good. And we had three guys ahead of us that were really good pitchers. That carried us a lot. And then football, I think we won my freshman to junior year. Through junior year, we won 5 games.
Yeah.
Lost homecomings, all the great stuff in high school. And then all of a sudden, my class worked together. And first team in my school's history to go to, well, it was kind of a sub-state. It was a playoff game.
That's
anyway.
sweet.
But went, I think it was 8-2 was our record, which was one loss was to a 2A or 3A team, one class above us. I can't remember. But anyway, middle to above average, but like I was all district as a senior in football, and normally your coach would get up and say, hey, you're, this kid in games, he stepped up, blah, 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 whatever. My coach got up and said he was always the first in drills. He talked about how hard I worked in practice instead of what I did. That was recognized by other coaches, which I'll take that as a compliment now. But at the time, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
He tried really hard.
Yeah, he tried really hard.
He tried hard.
Anyway, I've always had good work ethic. Growing up, bailing, doing that. Out of high school, joined the Guard.
Did you say Iowa?
Iowa.
Nice.
Yeah, northwest Iowa, kind of by Sioux City.
So what brought you to Sheridan?
So we used to come out here when I was a kid on vacations, my family.
Nice.
So we stayed up at, I think we did 3 vacations out here in the summers from 5th or 6th grade through like my 8th grade year. And my dad loved the mountains. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of where I got it. He grew up in Iowa, but he was always going to Montana elk hunting and stuff like that. So
joined the Guard?
Joined the Guard. Was in that for 6 years. Was actually in the Nebraska Guard for the majority of it. Moved to Colorado for a year in there. Made a lot of bad choices when I was down there. I was, made bad choices. We won't get into that too much. But then,
obviously, you were in the Army Guard there.
Army Guard,
yeah,
yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
the Air Guard over there, we make pretty good choices.
Yeah, I bet.
Or we're smarter.
Yeah, you probably are. Yeah, when I went to boot camp, there was a kid from Chicago, and he had a heavy Chicago accent. I don't even remember his name, but we called him Chicago, and he's like, yeah, when I took that ASVAB test, he goes, I had the choice of infantry or cook. And I was standing next to him going, I'm surrounded by idiots. I had a choice, and I chose infantry. But anyway, got out of Guard. Or while I was in the Guard, I started paramedic school. Kind of had an interest in EMT. I had a good friend of mine, Dave Ratch, that...
wow, that's what I did.
What?
I did the paramedic and medics.
Oh, when you were in the Guard?
Yeah.
And he's like, I was thinking about nursing school, and he just totally went against. He's like, no, man, be a paramedic. You just pick them up, drop them off, and you're done with them. You don't have to stay with them for 6 hours.
100%.
Whatever.
You're not wiping a lot of asses either.
Yeah. So anyway, ended up getting accepted to University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics paramedic program, which is pretty intense 9-month program. I'd already had my basic and my intermediate, and hadn't really worked at all as a medic, but got my medic, and I was on the list in Sioux City for the fire department, but I went and I was like number 6 on the list, and I found Sheridan, Wyoming online on like paramedic jobs, and they were looking for a medic, and I called out, and I talked to Chris Galloway, and he was like, he's super dry guy, and he's like, well, you don't have your medic yet? And I go, no. I don't yet. And he goes, well, we can't hire you then. Well, it was kind of a weird conversation. I was a stupid 23-year-old kid. And so I was like, well, thanks for your time. Hang up. Well, anyway, they must have had some stuff. I know they did when the ambulance service took over and some people quit in that 2-week period. And he called me back, and he's like, well, were you going to send me an application? Or... And
you're like, you told me you can't hire me.
I was very confused. I was like, oh, well, I'll come out for an interview. I'll just make a trip. And anyway, I came out, still didn't have my medic. I'd taken the test, National Registry test, didn't know if I passed. And they basically hired me with the reservation that I passed. So anyway, I go to a payphone, this is dating myself, at Ridley's / Safeway's parking lot.
Dang.
I called my mom and I'm like, hey, this was in 2001. I didn't even have a cell phone. And I said, hey, can you go check my mail? And then I called back like 20 minutes later, just hoping that maybe it by chance came in. And my mom answers the phone and she's like, is this paramedic Seth Larson? Super cheesy. But, but I was like,
that's awesome.
Heck yeah. So anyway, I go right back over to City Hall and Bob Simmons was the chief and Chris Galloway was the division chief. And they're like, when can you start? Can you start in 2 weeks? And I'm like, yep, I'll be here. And they go, do you have time before you take off to go home? Can you go and take a piss test? And I was like, and I fucked with them, but I didn't know these people. Like, I'm 23, 24-year-old kid. And I'm like, oh, can we wait about 30 days on that? And they both just snapped their heads and looked at me. I'm like, I'm kidding. I can take it right now. I can take it. And I didn't realize how dry Chris Galloway was. Great guy.
Not funny.
But anyway, I passed. And anyway, came out here for $7.56 an hour to work as a medic. As a paramedic.
An hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 1 2 week
your
pay.
age is showing, so.
That was a lot of money.
I was underpaid because if I would have gone, I was going to go to Sioux City and work as a medic. Oh, well, Sioux City called me to be a fireman in that 2 weeks that once they heard I passed my national registry. And that would have been like $50,000 a year in Iowa, which was a pretty good paying job, 46, 50, somewhere in there. And I said, well, can I work as a medic part-time? Because they weren't a paramedic level service. And the chief was super nice. And he just said, well, after your 6-month probation, you can, if you're doing well. Or your 1 year probation, but if at 6 months you're doing well, we'll let you. And I just said, I'm going to have to decline because I want to use the skills that I've learned.
100%.
Otherwise, I'll lose them. So anyway, I came out here, and for a year and a half, I worked as just a single role paramedic. And back then, the fire department covered EMS in the entire county. So small town Iowa kid, I got to go like 3 miles back in for, a tension pneumothorax on a guy on a snowmobile accident.
Crazy.
Just cool stuff,
Yeah.
But then the fire department just started to fall apart.
Did you said that you passed registry the first time, national registry?
Yeah, with a solid 82.
Better than me, man.
Did
I bought a guitar the night before, actually that one right over there.
Yeah.
And I was out playing guitar for girls all night long before the test, and I failed it, and I got washed back. So in the military, when you take the paramedic test, you're in tech school. So I'm out partying the night before, up way late. I'd passed everything with flying colors, didn't even think about it. Go take registry. I missed it by 2 questions.
Oh, that's
so they washed me back 3 weeks. So here I am sitting 3 weeks back in this class, and
with people you don't know, and
that's always fun. And
but you know what they say?
Yeah.
What they call a paramedic that got an 80 or a paramedic that got a 98.
Yeah,
they call them a paramedic.
Yeah.
So it's still paramedic.
They don't need to know that.
So I went back through and passed it. So that's pretty cool that you passed it the first time.
I went to a really good school. It's if you fell below a 70% at any point during the school year or that 5 months of all the classroom stuff, you were no
out,
questions asked.
Really?
You were out. So, and the beginning of every day, you took a 15 to 30 question test that counted. It was only like 2% of your grade.
Yep.
But it was anything from day 1 to the end of month 5.
Cover everything.
And so you'd read something and I had no clue.
Yeah.
But I think what they were doing was they really trained you how to take a multiple choice paramedic
100%.
test.
Yeah.
Is what it was. Yeah. So it was a really good class. It showed because in Sioux City where I did all my ride along time, the medics would grab me and be like, we got Seth.
Yep.
Because I had everything done, my ACLS, my advanced traumatic life support, all that stuff was done. So basically it was some of them just being lazy because then I would have to write the reports.
Yeah.
And some of the other students at the school in Sioux City, they hadn't even had rhythms yet and they were getting some of their ride time. So
crazy.
They were basically a basic riding along.
Yep.
But anyway, I had a great experience there.
It shows too, especially when you're doing it I'd say the civilian side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're in the military, and I'm sure you can attest to this, you're just kind of they're just telling you what to do. You don't have the drive to do it. So it's just something you have to do, right? So that was my take on all of it was just I'm partying every night in San Antonio, Texas, and going to school in the morning and not really paying attention and just kind of faking my way through it.
Yeah.
But,
even when I got hired here, that was the same thing. My first year, I had 3 pediatric codes, and they all died. And
That's an eye-opener.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, Seth, you need to grow the fuck up.
Yep.
Because it was one of them was when they're breathing, when you get to them, family rolled over out on I-90 at Aberdeen Hill. We met a Ford Explorer that the dad was in with. He threw his son in the back. He was 11 years old. And I was hungover, like out partying until 3 a.m. the night before. Hungover. Nothing I did. It was case reviewed, not because I was hungover, but just because it was an interesting case. But massive head trauma, not visible head trauma, but he stopped breathing when we C-spined him.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got on the stair mill at the fire station that night, and I bet I was on there for an hour and a half just sweating. My captain came out like to make sure I was okay, because I was a kid, man. I was 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
And it was like, after that point, I never went into work hungover again. It was stupid on my part, and it's like, out of respect for anybody that I'm going to interact with, I should not feel that way.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty, because it's like, was there
100%.
something that I could have done that would have made the outcome different? And there really,
Yeah. And
his CT was completely white. Like, there was no brain activity whatsoever because of the pressure from the blood. But that was when I grew up right there.
That's
and I was like,
the hardest part about that medic and paramedic is, you go to work with an average job and you can be kind of 50%.
Yeah.
Because when I say paramedics and medics, it's not just like a job, it's a performance. You have to be the peak. And every decision you make is a life or death one. And that is where people usually burn out. And especially if it's a really active place. Like I worked in Vegas.
Oof.
That's where I grew up. Like you'd think I'd be partying more in Vegas, but when you show up to a scene where people are getting shot and stabbed and they have agonal breathing when you're driving up there, you realize that like everything matters. Like how much sleep you got that night. Like have you studied? Are you reading up on this stuff? Are you going through your basic ALS? Are you, but it's a tough job.
It is. And I almost quit after 1 year just because I had the 3 pediatric codes, and one of them I knew the mom when I showed up at the hospital. I didn't know it was her kid.
Oofed.
And car accident. But it was very, makes you grow up pretty fast. I had a great group of guys I worked with that were super helpful too, that had seen more than me. So that was really helpful. I was never big on going and talking about my feelings on that stuff afterwards. I was like, I'll go for a hike, I'll go to the gym, something like that. But it was great experience. I miss it. I miss the chaos to control. That was my favorite part of that job. Yeah. And as you learn and you get better at it, you still become confident. And about the time you're really confident, you get humbled. You miss something.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Don't get it twisted. The reward when you do, save life and you do the job that you are hired to do and trained to do.
Right.
The payoff is extraordinary. It's like the best high I've ever felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you save somebody's life, the guy that got shot, and I walked into this room and blood all over, and we saved this guy's life, which is like, if I wasn't there, we weren't there, that guy's dead.
Well, and think about it too. Here's another thing. How many times did you go on a call where you saved someone's life just because you were like, I'm going to throw you on some oxygen?
Oh, yeah.
So it prevented that heart gave it a little more oxygen. Maybe that massive heart attack didn't, they were having a heart attack, but maybe just by putting on a non-breather, a nasal cannula, that was enough to just get him to the hospital, to get him where he needed to be. So there's not, it's kind of like when you get hurt at lifting, it's not always the coolest thing you do. It's like a warm up where you tweak your back. Yeah. But the little things that you do probably save more lives than
it goes to that
realize.
Attention to detail thing. Small things matter.
Yep. Yeah. But anyway, I'll go into the fitness. Now I'm just talking about myself.
That's such a cool story. I mean, I can relate to a lot of that. So that's awesome.
So when I got hired with the fire department, I was meathead lifter. I never squatted, avoided it like the plague.
Total bro.
Just upper body, wear pants.
That's called party lifting.
Wear long shorts. I think that's where the baggy shorts came in.
That's how we started.
Yeah. And it was just buys and tries and arms like 2-3 days a week, that kind of stuff. But I always worked out. And then I got hired, and when I came here, I remember Greg Lumen, he's a city councilman now. We were running at the park, and I sucked at running, and I was like, oh, it's the elevation.
Yeah.
This place, it's only like 2,000 feet higher than So, and he's like, I think you need to give up that excuse. Like, very real with me, and I was like, okay. And I was just a medic at the time. But anyway, once I got hired as a fireman, I went into a fire, and I was married, I think, or just about to get married, and I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I got pretty good cheeks in my wedding photos. And I went into a fire and almost puked in my mask. And I was like, I got to do something different. Like, my cardio is crap. Well, at the time, there wasn't really a lot of accessible knowledge. YouTube was out there on stuff. So I was like, well, if I want good cardio, I'm going to run, and I'm going to bike, and I'm going to try my hand at triathlons, at least the Peaks to Prairie, where you actually river kayak instead of swim, because I can swim, but I'm not a good swimmer. But anyway, so I went that route, did Peaks to Prairie 2 years in a row, did it on a team 1 year before that, and did a couple half marathons. Peaks to Prairie, I was 13th 1 year, 14th the next, out of 60 some guys, but everybody's like, wow, that's really good. But the guys that were 1 through 10, they were like an hour ahead of us, 45 minutes to an hour ahead of the rest of us, just different humans, you know. But anyway, so then I go into a fire, and I just feel weak.
Yeah.
And then a guy at the fire department, Andy Freed, I think he's a battalion chief now, he was like, hey, I found this thing called CrossFit, and you should check it out. And I was like, okay.
Was it relatively new then?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty new. So this would have been in like 09, 08, 09.
That's right when it's taken off.
So it was like you had to go to YouTube to find it, and social media wasn't a thing. So anyway, I was like, well, before that, I'd kind of got into like garage home gym. So in my cul-de-sac, I had a tire with a rope on it that I'd drag. I had a tractor tire I'd flip. I'd hit it with a sledgehammer. I had a kettlebell.
That's the good shit. That's intimidating all the dads in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Alpha dad. But I'd do like a 45-minute just sweat. And it was nice because I had my boys. They were pretty small at the time. So I think they were born in 04 and 06. So they were 4 to 6 years old. So they just play in the in the trampoline with the hose or whatever. And I could do my workout. And anyway, so I started doing that, and then I found CrossFit, and I thought CrossFit was Fran, which is 21, 15, 9 of each thrusters and pull-ups at 95 pounds.
That's just one workout,
so like
right?
4 days a week I was doing thrusters and pull-ups.
You found the one at CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. So that was exactly what it was. Well, then it kind of started morphing, and I started training a few people that were just interested, bought a little bit of equipment in my garage. Then I moved into building behind Domino's. I still wasn't a CrossFit affiliate, and I was buying equipment. My wife was a coach. She coached while I was at the fire department. And then I had Erica Jorgensen and Andy Freed came on as coaches shortly thereafter, just because I was going to hit burnout because it was just my wife and I coaching, and the kids were spending a lot of time at the gym. And anyway, you had to dodge the Domino's drivers as they were coming in out of the alley as we were running, and you smelled pizza all the time. So it was just
torture, dude. That's torture.
It was bad. So then we moved into a Morton building on North Main, and it started to grow. And while we were in there, fire department had a lot of political stuff. And when I got hired there, it was a 30-man department. So we ran a full engine, and we staffed 2 ambulances to cover the county. And I loved my job. Well, the new administration just kind of didn't want to do EMS because, you know, a lot of it's self-pay. You don't get paid for it, you know, and you might lose some money on it. So anyway, they cut it, and we went to a 15. Over a 5-6 year period, we went to a 15-man department. They got rid of EMS completely. I was pretty bitter about it at the time because honestly, if nothing had changed at the fire department, I would still be there. One, I was just tired because you're going, you know, we'd do billings transfers in the middle of the night, or you might have 1 or 2 calls a night, so it just broke your sleep up enough where I wouldn't have had the ambition to start CrossFit. So anyway, we're looking forward. We're in the gym on North Main, and I am frustrated, and when they laid off the last 8 guys, I was still safe, and they laid off the last 8 guys, and I told my wife, I'm going to give it 6 months, and either I'm going to move and pursue another fire department, or we're going to do the gym full time. And at 6 months to the day, my wife had been offered a good job with New York Life selling life insurance, and now she's at a bank doing the same thing, but she's also deals with, I don't know, she deals with people's money, mutual funds, whatever. I don't understand any of it.
Takes a lot of intelligence.
Yeah,
we don't have
she's
that.
way smarter than me. So anyway, so she carried our insurance, and that was our biggest hang up. And I quit the fire department. A lot of people told me I was crazy. Right now I'd be about a year and 10 months away from retirement, but that's all right. I had a great run while I owned the gym. The people that I interacted with were absolutely amazing. Lots of good experience. But I started doing that full time, and after like 12, 13 years, I started to kind of not be as enthusiastic as I was, and I saw it coming.
Yeah, it's hard.
When I was at the fire department, I saw some people retire, and their last 2 years before they retired, they were hard to deal with. Just angry. Everybody else was wrong. Just kind of that whatever. And I always thought when I was there, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to stay at something too long where I'm bitter. Yeah. And my legacy is, God, he was an asshole his last 2 years. Yeah. And that's how they remember me. So anyway, not that I was an asshole at the gym, but I could just kind of feel it coming.
Yeah.
And so I had an opportunity with some investment properties and new builds and spec houses and stuff that I'm doing now with my partner, Tommy Redenbaugh. He's pretty much the boss. I'm a partner in a way, but he makes the choices. Thankfully, I'm totally fine with it. That's great. Yeah. But anyway, so I went and started doing that, and it's been a hard transition because it truly is, like I said, I like the chaos to control. You're helping people at the fire department. Then I go to the gym where I'm still helping people. Mm-hmm. And now I'm pounding nails, and it's better for my future right now, but it is not, I don't have that same satisfaction.
Same kind of service.
Right. So I'm thinking about going back. My younger son is talking about taking the EMT basic class. I've been talking with Jason about it, and I thought about maybe going back and getting my basic again and just see where it goes. And just to get my basic wouldn't be tough.
Oh yeah, easy.
If I wanted to go on, that'd be tough again, but because there's so much has changed since I was a medic. But I don't know where it's going to go. I just like something that if possibly I could be, when we have subs come into a job, I could say, hey, I'm available.
Yeah, that's cool.
To pick up a shift or whatever and see where it goes. So I don't know.
Plus, like, the thing is, too, is like the years of experience you had is, priceless.
Yeah.
So even if things have changed, there's still things that are going to be very relevant and things that these new kids just haven't seen.
Yeah. And just a person that has the ability to control their emotions in those situations. Like I can remember up on Bighorn Avenue, the first time I realized something that really helped me is I could hear screaming inside the house. I think the husband had passed away and wasn't breathing. And I'm walking up and I've got my stuff and I got a pretty good stride going. And I'm like, you're getting excited. If you're excited, everyone else on our crew is looking to you for direction. So you can't get excited. Not that I never did, but I walked up and I got to the screen door and I put my hand on the screen door and I went,
then open.
I'm going.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I was probably more effective than if I would have sprinted up to that door.
Yep.
And
been in a panic.
And looked like I was in a panic because
everyone's going to
people
react.
Feed off that,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So after that, it was like, and I was a good medic. I was a good medic. You can ask the guys I worked with. And so it was a part of my life that I miss, but I miss it. I don't know
100%.
how else to say it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so then I found CrossFit, and CrossFit is perfect for police, fire, that type of explosive. You got to go right now. Maybe you've got them under control for a little bit.
Long-lasting
or you're dragging
endurance.
a hose. You get in, you spray some water so you recover a little bit. You're dragging hose again. You're pushing in a door, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So very much fit for the fire department. I probably got 80% of the fire department used to come down and work out at the gym. My shift did. And I just started implementing CrossFit without any equipment. Yeah. So we were doing thrusters with the curved curl bar.
Oh yeah.
With 25s on it. We had battling ropes. We just do 1 minute stations because we didn't, and everything had a funny name. It was like the battling ropes was with hoses, great big hoses, and they called it interpretive dance.
Yeah.
So there's always like something that, and I'd get made fun of a lot for the workouts that I was doing, but now they have a CrossFit setup at the fire department in-house.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's cool.
So it went from, hey, let's go to the park and run 3 miles and go to the Y, and half the guys or more weren't doing anything. They walked around. It actually looked bad, I thought. It used to drive me crazy. And then to most of the shifts stay at the fire department. Some guys will just run or do whatever they want. But a lot of the guys do CrossFit and strength training and stuff like that. So
because in my mind, the CrossFit in that type of training is king when you're talking about endurance and like firefighting and police
how it
work.
transfers over to that like demands of that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where just the strength side is like, you're going to be strong for a second.
Yeah.
But Chancellor and I would be definitely puking in our masks if we tried to rescue.
We'd be drowning in our firefighter suits.
We wouldn't make it up the stairs.
You guys would be fine, trust me. Trust me. But that's where my son is. My older boy is pursuing the fire department now.
And the oldest one is Chance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Chance is a freaking tank, man. He is just solid.
Yeah. He's always loved a barbell. Like, he's just been drawn to it. My other son was into gymnastics when he was younger, and he was more body weight stuff.
Yeah.
Boone.
I haven't met Boone yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him in here. He says he's gonna, so he got done with high school, and he hasn't done much for sports since, or
That's all right.
physical, but he'll come around.
He'll be back.
But he's talking about taking the basic, and I told him, I go, honestly, if you're doing that job, it's nice to have a little mass on you.
Yeah.
You might be in a wrestling match with somebody at some point, or you will be at some point.
It's inevitable,
But so it was, the strength aspect is huge, and longevity-wise, it's huge. And anyway, I sold the gym 2 years ago this August, and it's still going strong, and I just needed to make some changes.
Yeah.
So which is kind of what we were going to talk about.
Heck
too.
yeah.
So
one point that I thought was pretty cool was how you said you had minimal equipment when you started, and people were making fun of your workouts, but they were effective, right? Mm-hmm. The crazy thing is like that's pretty much how I started in the garage gym. Like just
you were telling
nothing, me right? Like I was benching off of pipe stands, like the most dangerous thing, like those wobbly things. But the thing is like it is not complicated.
No.
Like people think they need like the fanciest shoes, the fanciest workout equipment, but seriously, think about like the old school strongmen of old, dude, lifting boulders and just like being ranch kids. Like just physical activity of some sort is going to be so beneficial, and it doesn't take a fancy gym. It is nice to have the equipment, but like if you just have that passion and commitment and drive or a culture, like you brought in your fire crew and you guys were sold on just getting better, just the amount of progress you can make with just that passion is crazy.
Yep.
Because it's like, it's hard to capture. Like you can have somebody has everything that doesn't have that drive and passion, and they're not going to make.
Yep.
They're not going to grow community or
100%.
Yeah. I think we talked about yesterday. I told some people at the gym, I'd be like, I made the food, but you have to eat it.
Yeah, 100%.
It can't. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work yourself. So
that was talking about just being kind of having frustrations as a coach sometimes, right? Like you're going to give this guy everything he needs to succeed, but he's got to eat the food and really dive into it.
Yeah.
And it really helps to have that community that's also 100%. Feasting on that meal.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because like at CrossFit, you're in a group setting, so you got a middle-aged guy that just started, and I love the guys that walk in. Well, in high school, I used to bench, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago, dude. You are not the same person of what you were in high school. But, they walk in, and they see someone that has been coming to CrossFit for a while. They maybe are still overweight, but they are suffering. And that makes him go, oh, I'm a bitch. I better start. I can suffer this much. If they can do it, I can do it.
Yep.
So I did one of my morning thoughts just the other day. It's like anytime that I'm looking at something hard in life.
Oh, I love that one, dude.
It's like you look at it or I look at it and I go, if it's a surgery I've had, if it's whatever, and I'm nervous about it, I'll be like, you know what? Thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people have done what I'm about to do or go through or whatever. And if they can do it,
You can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
That's just the mentality that I have. Now, as that number goes down, you start to question whether you can do it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
You know, but it helps.
It's a
It's
good
helped me through.
perspective
Yeah,
switch, yeah, for
absolutely, absolutely.
So, just for the people that maybe are more on the powerlifting side and the strength training realm of this, CrossFit, like, what is the kind of the training philosophy behind that? Just high intervals, like?
Honestly, it's just constantly varied functional movements over broad time and domain. Or however it's said.
How
I
they
think
say
that's
in
their
CrossFit
quote.
quotes,
But
yeah.
basically, what's that means is there's never a consistent thing that you're doing for the most part. Consistent thing that you're doing, you're just changing it up constantly. That
Wow.
was my thought process on it. There was never a okay, Tuesday's legs, Wednesday's this. I mean, there was some predictability to my programming. But my programming at CrossFit was usually predictable in the fact that Monday was normally a 18 to 24 minute EMOM, meaning every minute on the minute you did maybe 3 different things. So 1 minute you might row for 40 seconds for as many calories as possible.
Yeah.
Next minute might be 10 burpees. Next minute might be 18 wall balls.
Yeah.
So your score was your calories, obviously, and minus anything that you might not finish. So and you're just dying at the end of it. But it might be a bike instead of a rower. It might be deadlifts instead of burpees. I changed it up constantly on those Mondays. But basically it was, by the end of it, you might start out getting 22 calories, but a normal person finishes getting 12 calories.
Yeah.
You know, you're just hanging on for dear life by the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Tuesday we did an Oli lift, whether that was a snatch, a clean, a squat clean, I know that some Oli lifters will get mad at me for saying squat clean or squat snatch, but it just separates the two rather than a power snatch, whatever. We do a complex, you know, maybe you do 3 deadlifts, 2 hang cleans, 1 jerk.
Yeah.
You know, and you do that every minute on the minute in an EMOM format normally. Wednesday was like an active recovery. So normally pick your poison, you'd pick one machine, and we'd do like a 20 to 30 minute AMRAP, as many rounds as possible.
Yep.
And it might be benign movements, bike, step-ups, sit-ups.
Yeah.
You know, just a sweat, just kind of a recovery
I like
day.
that.
Then Thursday was Thursday was some type of, I called them swole sessions, where maybe I'd say, okay, I want you to try and get 6 rounds of this in a 35-minute time frame. It might have dips, strict pull-ups, toes to bar, you know, it just have a bunch of upper body, maybe some lunges, something in it. And then Friday was usually something that was like 8 to 14 minutes with a cash out of squats or something like that, depending on what was in the week.
It's kind of crazy how he's explaining that with all the variation. It's just like hand in hand with conjugate, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole key and the whole point of why conjugate's effective is that variation in the movements, because you don't want to have, like you said, these set predictable things, because your body will learn how to adapt.
Yeah.
And it is super lazy. Your body is, and it's not going to have change. It's not going to, that stimulus threshold is just going to be higher and higher because it's just not going to want to adapt. It's just like, you know, Arnold had it right back in the day. You have to confuse the muscles, right? To get the most amount of change. And that's probably why CrossFit is so effective, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so variable. It's why conjugate's effective. Why you become more of an athlete running a conjugate method system. I also really like the part that you're pretty much, you know, you're having your programmed active recovery days where you're not just building yourself this trench of fatigue.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, CrossFit pushes 3 on, 1 off, but with a gym that's open 6 days a week,
You have to program
it's
it.
hard to do that.
100%.
So my theory was, if people want to come 5 days a week or 6 days a week, you have to force them into it, because people are not, especially people that are new to CrossFit and are really into it, they will come in like I did when I first started and just kill yourself every single day.
And then burn out.
And burnout.
Hurt
And injury
themselves,
or, you know, stuff like that. So to me, that was my way of
managing fatigue.
And whatnot. So, because
Mental,
people
physical.
don't self-regulate.
No.
Especially when CrossFit, when there's a score on the board.
Yeah.
It's like, that's all it is to some people.
Oh, yeah. It's just like powerlifting in our numbers. That's all it is.
Only it's easier to cheat at CrossFit. And there's a lot of cheaters at CrossFit. So but on the day-to-day workouts. But yeah, it was. I think it was effective for that type of lifestyle and whatnot. Honestly, when I first opened, as you guys know, you have a lot to learn.
Oh yeah.
You don't really understand people's mentality. Not everybody wants to be a CrossFit athlete. People want to look better naked.
100%.
That is what keeps the gym's doors open. That is, they want to look good when summer hits, and vanity is a big part of it.
And if they deny it, they're lying.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody wants to look better.
That's
you know?
like 100% the reason why I list.
Started lifting. That's why I took this job.
Yeah.
Look good. I'll get there someday.
We got to check in on that, actually.
Well, I think that's the cool thing about CrossFit, and like, you know, there's people that bash on it, but like what it did in the fitness world is like immense, because it's like,
especially
I think
with a barbell.
With the barbell, right? Like it introduced people to like these variety of movements, to different styles of lifting, and I think with the community aspect and the way CrossFit was like implemented, it became like more welcoming than maybe just stepping into a powerlifting gym or
100%.
bodybuilding, or just stepping into a gym in general, but knowing you have a coach and your friends and a group that you can go into, and then exposing them to all these styles of training, like, you know, even if they don't want to be a CrossFit athlete, it's like, and I think what's cool about CrossFit, kind of because it covers all these domains of fitness, it's applicable and helpful for like anybody, especially if they're getting started into fitness.
Yeah.
And they get a taste of everything, and then they get a little bit of everything, which for a lot of people, they don't need to or want to be as strong or as big as possible, or they don't want to purely just go outside and run and only have endurance.
Yeah.
So to be able to implement that, like in terms of what's feasible and what's practical for most people, like CrossFit did a really good job of designing a style of fitness that can apply to like the masses, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And not just like specialized athletes like powerlifters or you know, runners or anything like that, but kind of implement all of that together. And then I think what's cool about that is because it was so approachable, it made sense to a lot of people to try it. Like then they did get exposed to the barbells and all the things that CrossFit implements. And I know a lot of people that got into CrossFit and then they started specializing in certain things or finding different niches and passions with it. But how many people got into fitness because of CrossFit? It's like you can't deny, and how much that helped just the fitness world in general.
Absolutely.
I think because it's like one of the first times in fitness history that camaraderie was a thing, right? Like bodybuilding is a very solo sport.
Yeah, and so is
powerlifting is a very solo sport. Very rare to have a team of powerlifters like Westside Barbell, right? Like that's why they were so infamous.
Yeah.
Right? But
they pushed each other.
But then here comes CrossFit, and it was like, this is a community. We're here together doing the same thing and just crushing it. So like, just that, having that culture and community kind of evolve is cool, because, you know, we kind of stole that from CrossFit for our gym, right? Like we wanted a community,
which is awesome.
That's that's all we really wanted.
Yeah, which is awesome that you can look at it and take it that way rather than fuck those guys, you know. When I first opened, I had a lot of hate out there, man. It was on Facebook and Instagram wasn't real big when I first started, but God, somebody would post, "Hey, I'm new to town. What's the best gym in town?" And like, everybody is proud of their gym, you know. So there would be, "Oh, come to the YMCA, come to this, come to that, and come to Pure Energy." Whoever, I don't know, you guys weren't open yet then, but I would just get on, and most of the people, if one of my clients said, "Hey, check out CrossFit, we love it," someone would always go, "Don't go to CrossFit, people get hurt, da, 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 da." And I would get on and I'd just say, "Hey, my name is Seth Larson. I own Cloud Peak CrossFit. I would love to sit and have a conversation with you. There's a lot of great gyms in town, but you have to do the one that you like. So I encourage you to go check them all out." It was the most political answer I could have given, but at the same time, it's true. Like it is true. And like, even when you guys were first opening, I knew, and moving into this facility, I was like, man, they're dumping some money into that place. But you know what? If you can't keep your doors open as a gym in this town, there is something wrong with how you're running your gym, because I needed 70 people to keep my doors open. 100, I had a pretty comfortable lifestyle, you know, 70 and still survive with my own income. If I can't keep 70 to 120 people at the gym out of a town of,
you're not providing
20-some thousand people, then that's on me. That's not on, well, Forge, they did this and they pulled people. No, it's on you to not keep those people. That's what it is. So,
well, and that's how I've always looked at like other gyms in town or other places. Like I had a talk with Brady McLean about it. It's like, this town has like 20,000 something people in the area or whatever. It's like, how many of them are actually fitnessing right now and lifting? It's like just a small fraction.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of fighting for the pie that's like the people that are lifting, it's like there's so much more and so many more people out there that could be accessing.
Absolutely.
And then that's the thing, is like people have different things and niches that they kind of fall into naturally. Like they might like powerlifting, they might like CrossFit, they might like more endurance running, but it's like, I just want more people to be exposed to fitness and encourage each other and support each other's gyms. Like that, I just want more people to get involved in all the gyms.
Just move.
And just move.
Yep.
And that's how I've always kind of looked at it too. It's like, we're not competing with these other gyms. We're just trying to get more people in the community involved in fitness.
Yep.
Which I think is what's cool with you did, is like you, and to my knowledge, right, like there was no CrossFit gym before yours.
No, we were the second or third gym in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were the third.
Which is super cool, because it's like, just think about your legacy in terms of how many people that came through your doors and now are continuing and have been involved in like fitness, and that changed their life, that changed their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And even in our gym, like that's what gets me passionate, is there's people that will come in for training or PT and then like they don't stop. Like this is something they've been doing now for 5 years because we opened our doors. And there's just so much untapped potential out there for people that have not yet put a barbell in their hand or been doing these kind of workouts or had the guidance to start.
Yep, absolutely.
And I like the fact that there's more gyms than just one, right? Because it's like, I'm not going to be able to teach people like Seth.
Yeah, that's
right. I can teach probably things better than Seth in some aspects, and he's going to have his cards that he's going to play.
Yeah.
But it's like you encourage that, right? Because it's like, I can't be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah.
I want to be a specialist in my area and the things that make me passionate, because I'm not going to have the effort or the drive to become an endurance athlete, right? That's just not who I am. It's not what I enjoy. So it's like, someone comes to me and like, man, I just really want to, I'd be like, go see Seth.
Well, and that's what I feel like too. It's like, if you have like, and then I think this happens in different seasons of different people's lives. They're going to want to try different things, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to be like, don't go to that gym. You have to stay at Forge. I'm like, hey, I am like a firefighter. I kind of want more of like this style of training. Like CrossFit would be a good option. Like check it out.
Yeah.
Instead of like, don't go over there. How dare you betray us? It's like, I would be like, hey, if there's a coach that teaches that or a gym that's like that, like you got to find, because ultimately if you want to serve the people, you want to refer them and push them in directions that are going to help them reach their goals better, right?
Absolutely.
And I love, like Chancellor said, we have different places that offer different things, and I would rather encourage and do what's best for that person than selfishly be like, if you don't stay here, then you're not with us, you're against us, or whatever that mentality would be.
Yeah.
So I just excited if somebody finds something that they're loving doing and they stick to fitness and become something that's like a part of their life that they're passionate about and is having a positive influence on them.
Right.
Yeah, because I honestly believe it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to have that positive effect.
You just have to move.
Yeah.
Like that's ultimate. Move where you will move 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Go to a gym 5 days a week, or your own home gym, whatever it may be.
When we were talking about this yesterday, I think this applies to the broader aspect of like longevity and fitness, right? And so I think the big thing is moving, and then depending on your training history, your goals, like, and what you actually like doing, right? Like you do not have to do the things you don't like in fitness. There's so many options, so many routes you can take. And if you do have a pre-existing injury, or if it's just you're burning out of that style of training, it's like switch it up, try new things.
Oh, we
like,
do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also kind of carrying on that is just seeking the guidance of people that are doing the things that you love to do.
Right.
Right? Like you kind of use that, your activities outside the gym and your life outside the gym, to kind of like cater and choose that style of training that you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're an elk hunter, if you're, whatever it may be, you got to look at your lifestyle and go, okay, this is going to help me the most, depending on your goals. Or maybe I like to walk.
Yeah.
And that's all you want to do. It's fine. Go do it. It's fine.
Well, and I think what I like about it is, especially if someone has not been lifting or they're new to it, like anything you start with is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could start with us and we're going to maybe just go through the big three and teach you some compound movements, teach you how to use a barbell. Or you can go to CrossFit and like learn how to do those circuit style training and the CrossFit workouts. And it's like you will immediately see changes and adaptations and be learning like all these movements, which will just the newbie gains, and then in the long run you might settle in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
But just getting started and just trying out and jumping into a gym and have some coaching, anybody's going to benefit from any gym here, any style of training if they just get started with it.
If you give it 2 or 3 months too, and you haven't done anything, it's amazing how hooked a person can get if they commit to that 2 to 3 months, because all of a sudden they see their deadlift go from their first day of 65 pounds because you're just getting the technique right. At the end of that 3 months, they pull 155.
Yeah.
A woman, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so strong. And it's just because they've never done it.
Yeah.
But that's where you hook them, man.
Yeah.
It's like there's always especially with CrossFit, there's always another skill, double unders, muscle ups, whatever it may be, squat snatch, overhead squat, whatever you're doing to improve on. And as you improve, you get hungry to improve on those things.
Yeah.
But the bad thing about CrossFit is once you get at a high level on each one of those things, if you focus on one, like you want to get stronger, your muscle ups will start to suffer if you're squatting and deadlifting a whole bunch.
It's a monster.
You might put on 10 pounds, and 10 pounds is a big difference when you're throwing your body up into the rings.
Yeah.
So it's just a balance in CrossFit especially. And
we find that in powerlifting too, you know, especially if you're like trying to stay aesthetic. You know, you lose a little bit of weight because you want to trim up for the summer, and all of a sudden your bench tanks.
Yeah, because you lost 20 pounds.
It's like, you know, there was parts of my life where I would give up 10 of my years for 5 pounds on my bench press. You know? And then just to watch that crumble away because I decided to eat cleaner for a week. Like,
marbled muscle is so much stronger than lean muscle.
It is. I can attest.
But
yeah, you know, CrossFit it's awesome. I'm not doing it. I do CrossFit light now, I'd say. Got a few little injuries or ailments, not really injuries, but
things you're working around.
Things I'm working around. Yeah, 100%. Like I can hack squat and it doesn't hurt my back. I was hack squatting today and had 5 plates on each side doing sets of 8, and I was like, oh, I feel strong. But if I put 225 on the back squat, my back bothers me. So it's like, you know what? It's okay. I'm still moving.
It's just workarounds.
Yeah, work around it. And I think with CrossFit, that was a big thing that we threw when I owned the gym. It's like, well, if your shoulder's hurting, still come.
And we'll figure it out.
We'll still get you a workout.
Yeah,
you know?
That's what a good
I'm going to say
do.
you're probably going to want to bounce 2 days a week and maybe do a long walk or get on a bike and just bike, because we don't want to just blow your hips and knees and back up because your shoulder is injured. You know, you've got to take a day and do something else. But you can work around a lot. But once you become a higher end athlete, like myself, I was within my gym. I'd say I'm one of the top 5 guys in the gym as far as scores go every day and strength and whatnot. But when I had to start scaling, it was very hard for me to get the same workout.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's like my intensity just wasn't the same. Because like I stopped doing handstand push-ups for the most part. I'd do them like twice a year if it was in competition or something that we went to, because I herniated a disc in my neck. And it's just not worth the risk to me anymore. So I suffered. I didn't have the greatest handstand push-ups towards the end, because you don't do it, you lose it, you know. Yeah. But you can work around it until you're not getting as good a workout, because you have to have high intensity in a lot of CrossFit workouts. Yeah. And if you can't have the intensity and you still don't have the volume, you have to have one or the other as you scale something. So it was very hard for me towards the end, before I left, to understand that. And I didn't have time to stay for another hour and do other things. Yeah. You know. So it was tough to leave, and it was hard. And there's some drawbacks to every type of activity that you do, like powerlifting. Over time, there's a good chance you're going to have an injury. Oh, yeah. You know, back injury or back issues,
if you
whatever.
Push the envelope on any sport,
CrossFit
and
or CrossFit's the same way.
It's just like if you're speeding, eventually you're going to get a ticket.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And CrossFit, like when we were big into it, I think the state of Wyoming, all the CrossFit gyms used to get together and compete in teams. And we had 3 guys, 3 girls, and our guys were all above average but hard workers. But we had really strong females. Yeah. And that took us so far in the Affiliate Cup, they called it, and we won it. I can't remember if we won it 4 times. We were on the podium, like a total of 7 times we were on the podium at least, and won it like 4. First year we got last. Second year we came back and won it.
Yeah.
I had influenza when we competed. I was in sweating all night and just miserable. But those were like, in my mind, they were like the golden years of Cloud Peak CrossFit. You know, and I'm sure there's still golden years to the people that are newer to it. But in my mind, we used to go to the throwdown down in Casper, and we'd compete, and we'd always be in the top 5.
That's cool.
They'd get some Colorado teams that were
just monsters.
Oh my gosh. They'd come in and pull 700 pounds on deadlift, and it's like, who the
monsters.
They'd been to the games as a team and whatnot, but still really good competition, great community of people, and I got to know a lot of people throughout the state, you know, and great experience. But it is a matter of time where you could get injured at CrossFit if you're pushing, like you say, if you're pushing the limits. And that's probably one of my biggest regrets at CrossFit is I created a culture that was, you know what, my shoulder's really been bothering me. Like there was a point where I couldn't even grab my seatbelt. I had to like put my elbow up and push it back and grab my seatbelt because my shoulder would hurt so bad. And I'd be like, well, if I get warmed up, I could probably do the muscle ups.
That sounds just like me.
And it's just like I created that culture where other people did it instead of me being the example
and taking care of it.
But your ego
that's
gets
the
in
wisdom
there.
you develop.
Exactly.
Which I think almost everybody goes through a season of that.
You know? So I think and you are competitive at CrossFit, and you kind of throw caution to the wind on if you're really close to somebody or it's the open or whatever, and you've got 10 deadlifts to finish a workout at 315, and you're breathing hard, and you go grab that 315 and you don't want to set it down. You could pay for that. Like your form is not going to be perfect.
No way.
It's not going to be perfect. And I think that is a self-control thing. It's not a CrossFit thing. And
no, that's any sport.
With any sport. And I mean, yes, is CrossFit more dangerous than sitting on a pec deck? Absolutely.
1,000%.
100%. But risk worth reward, that's up to each individual person. And sometimes people aren't very good at keeping themselves accountable. So that's why with your programming, you have to be smart.
Right.
And 2, on the whole Facebook thing, when people would start bashing on CrossFit, I would just be like, you know what? There, you can go to a Pizza Hut here in Sheridan, and you can go to a Pizza Hut in Iowa. Pizza Hut in Iowa is like the cleanest restaurant ever. Not saying anything about our Pizza Hut, but sometimes
I used to be a Pizza Hut waiter, actually. I know the ins and outs.
So it's like you could go to a CrossFit gym here, and one of the biggest compliments we always had was every competition, judges would say, we love judging Cloud Peak CrossFit because your standard of movement is so good. You know, and we didn't argue with the judge. A couple times I did, but for the most part, we were very polite, and our standard of movement, our technique was noticeably different. And it cost us some spots in competition because we still did it right, even if other guys weren't swinging it right.
100%.
Something as simple as a kettlebell, they get to the top and the kettlebell's pointing down. It should be, the standard is pointing up, you know, but that was a huge compliment when I owned the gym.
Pretty much the whole thing is like, you can't judge CrossFit as a blanket term.
No,
right?
Absolutely.
No, it's going to be different everywhere.
And that'd be like in powerlifting too. Some gyms are going to be maniacs, and they're not going to look on the form or technique or programming and destroy people. And
exactly.
And there's good programming.
And that's how you get the bad names, right?
Absolutely.
It's like super dangerous, or, you know, everyone says squats are bad for your knees, deadlifts are bad for your back, and a lot more under the surface that goes on than just a global blanket statement. These are bad for you. I use them to rehab people.
It's like almost like fear mongering, right? Like people just love to fear monger.
Well, and then globally, which I always get frustrated when people bash any kind of style of fitness, CrossFit included, is like the bigger global problem is there's too many sedentary people, and like the benefit you get out of lifting, it's like far outweighs the risk reward just to get into it. And I love that people are so passionate about it, they want to push it. Honestly, it's like from a PT side, it's like I'd rather deal with orthopedic issues and things that we honestly can work on and fix, whether it's the programming technique or just need some rehab. Versus like, you know, the systemic problems of like what being sedentary does and not having your health and fitness in check. It's like that's such a bigger box that we got to focus on than just, hey, you shouldn't be doing CrossFit. It's like just I want to start exercising. And like people tell you not to do CrossFit. It's like they have a bigger problem than just like, and even statistically, like in all these activities, like even there are injuries in all of them, but they're really statistically low. It's like CrossFit's not really all that dangerous compared to like running on a treadmill, people get injured more often running on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Like
playing softball
statistically, or if you're going to play like you're going to do your
me, I know that.
if you're going to do your weekend warrior play basketball, it's like those guys get injured way more than CrossFitters that have a coach. And
100%.
And I still want them to do the weekend warrior thing, and like because that to me is the bigger and more important thing is that people are being active.
Yeah.
And we can hash out, and these are important conversations about like how we should program, how we can set an example to deal with injuries.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, it's like you're healthy, you're fit, you're moving, and like the benefits you're getting out of that far away, and you're just living life passionately. Like that's why I like lifting.
Yeah.
And you know, people ask like even as a PT, like why would you want to power lift? There's injury risks. I was like, I get that, but it's like it makes me like have joy and fulfillment and passion in life. And I know, yeah, mental health, right?
Yeah.
But I know there's risk to it, and for this season of my life, I'm like willing to do that because I love it so much,
Right.
and I'm just doing something I'm passionate about. And so if like, you know, your aunt or uncle or neighbors like saying like what you're doing is bad for you, blah, blah, it's like, well, you, like I have family members that are getting like hip replacements because they're just sedentary, not
Right.
doing anything.
Yep.
So the person that's like pushed their bodies to the limit, maybe they do end up dealing with some injuries. They still have this lifetime, or they've been building up their fitness and health. And even if they end up having to get a hip replacement,
They come back easier.
They come back easy. They come back
yeah.
stronger, and then just globally, like their internal health is just better. Their mental health is better.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, there's like those are smaller details compared to the bigger picture. And so I always encourage any kind of, and I'm supportive of people that want to push it. I get it. It's
Yeah.
like then we just have conversations with your coaches, your programming, or if you need to, if you have injuries, with providers that can help you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But those are smaller things that can be fixed and you can deal with. And very rarely is it like something where it's so injurious that like you're just, you know, screwed. And even then, it's like I've had people have major injuries and they still have a level of fitness, right?
Right.
You can still work around these things, which we were talking about longevity of fitness, because we know people that have been powerlifting like Dave Tate and they just run themselves ragged and their shoulders and their backs and their knees are wrecked, but they're still finding ways to fitness. And and then I think when I talk to people that have done that, and maybe they could even admit maybe they didn't program or push their bodies or listen to their bodies how they should, they don't regret it.
Not
like
at
they
all.
had so much love and passion, and those are good memories for them. So it's like you accepted the risk and rewards, and you've maybe dealt with some of those consequences, but you don't regret it. Like you still have this lifetime of like good memories of like the meets you've done, the competitions you've done.
100%.
And I think that to me is like where how I look at the whole aspect of this risk reward with wanting to push yourself. And to me, it's still worth it. And I think with my clients and with our clients and just like people generally go in the gym, they don't have to, and I don't tell them like, we're not going to push you the way I push myself. Because you don't need that, right? Like you're new into this, or you're just trying to get a little more fit. Your goals might be different than mine. So I'm not going to have them like lift to the point where their body's shaking. So it's like, you don't have to train in the way that we train either. Like this is a choice, like just saying like, I want to go running, right? Well, you don't have to run a 100-mile marathon.
Right.
You can just run a couple miles every week and you're getting all the benefit out of it.
Yep.
So it's only if and when that person has a desire to push that limit, then you can kind of help them like program and design that smartly.
Yeah,
in
when
an
they
intelligent
want to
way.
be great instead of just good.
Yeah.
But, you know, majority of the population, they just need to get moving. They don't need to push it to the limit. They can work within safer parameters with CrossFit, with powerlifting.
Yep.
Like they don't have to push it in the way that somebody that wants to find the limits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing I appreciate from the performance side, like if you're speaking from rehab and how you're talking about how you're pushing limits all the time. For me, what I've noticed when I train my clients is people, and this is all subjective because it doesn't really matter what that weight number is, what the rep number is, but you know, you could take a beginner who's going to hit his limit at like 6 reps and push past it, or you're going to take someone who's advanced and who's going to hit his limits at 10 to 15. They're finding that wall where failure is going to provoke growth. And I think CrossFit does that so well in the broad sense of how you guys train, like EMOMs, reps till failure, stuff like that. And that's why people see such great improvement so quick.
Bring the intensity with it.
And the only comparison I have in that and powerlifting, right, is in bodybuilding. So powerlifting is like the heavy singles, right? Grinding through reps, you're pushing that. That's the limit, right? Because you're almost hitting failure, if not failing. But that's where the most change happens. Bodybuilding, right? Like you go do 4 sets of 15 pec deck and we're not failing. You're not providing the body with stimulus to grow. You got to go to the reps till failure.
Right.
And that's what I really appreciate from the performance side of CrossFit is that hitting the wall and going farther.
Yeah.
because you're going to get the most bang for your buck that way. And obviously that's baby step for people that are just going in, but they're still going to hit that spot.
They're still doing AMRAP.
It doesn't,
different.
right?
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter the movement or the weight. They're still going to get changed because they're pushing their limits, right? So it's like, I would tell my clients, I'm not going to push you like I push myself, because you literally cannot do that, but you're still going to be pushed. Right? So
I always say there's like clients and people you work that are like cats and dogs. The cats are going to be like hesitant. They don't have that internal drive to want to push or know their limits. And then some people from the get, they're just going to go really hard, right?
But
so as your coach, it's like you're going to be like, okay, I need to temper back the dog, and then kind of encourage and push the cat farther.
Yeah.
But when you can make a cat into a dog,
Oh yeah, no.
man, that is fun to watch, dude.
That is
Like when
fun.
you watch an
Yeah.
old lady kind of walk up to the barbell and kind of timid and like, now they're doing powerlifting meets.
Yeah.
That cat became a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
They're
That's
willing
very
to try
true.
out a lift.
And that is that is mental growth. That is
Well, that's
so
right. And that's
cool
what I
to
meant
watch.
earlier, where it's like that's where like really is when you want to push your limits and perform, and you get a benefit like mentally and your confidence. Like that's where it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
And even if you do run into an injury or tweak here and there, like I have a client that's
gonna
powerlifting.
happen.
She just tried a new movement. Something felt weird, hurts her hip now. It's like, it's okay. We're going to come back. We're going to rebuild, and you can get back into what you love.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the
it's like
best.
you could also have tweaked your back or done something funky, like getting the mail or mowing the lawn. It's
Yep.
like these things will happen. That's just part of living and being a person. It's
Right.
like you'll have tweaks and injuries. So you just need to be smart about how you go about it and reintroduce like what you want to do. But like a person that has never lifted, like Jan, right? She's the one I'm talking about.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, she's like
she was
never
so timid when
lifted,
she started.
Like
Yeah.
her back had surgeries and multiple injuries, and like I couldn't, like the first day we started, it was no weight or like a 5-pound kettlebell, and not confident to pick that up and bend over. And now she's deadlifted like 250 pounds.
Crazy.
And then just like
became a
in
dog.
training, just happens. Like didn't sleep well, whatever. It's like she was doing a lightweight, and then there's something in her hips hurting on a sumo deadlift. And she's like, "See, does that mean that like lifting's bad for me?" I was like, "No, that's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
You could have done everything right, and sometimes something's going to tweak. Could be
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. All we need to do is address it, rebuild, and then you're going to go back to
It's the
lifting.
best
and you're,
teacher,
and you're
right?
still going to come back and get PRs when this is all said and done. So it's like that's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
But like for her, it's like she's lost a ton of weight. She's built a bunch of confidence. She's found something she's passionate, loving. It's like
This
you
Jan
got Jan Nelson. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you got so much out of like finding and like introducing lifting to your life. These little tiny setbacks are like more
dirt.
than worth.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
and that applies to everybody, and for us too. It's like Chancellor's has an injury from floor pressing. It's like it's not like, oh, I have to quit now and stop. It's just like
Nope.
just be smart, rebuild, and then you can get back into it.
Because honestly, those injuries make you such a better lifter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go through all your lifting career without an injury, when you and then it happens and you don't know how to adapt and evolve and work around and come back, you're screwed. You're never going to be great.
Yeah. And some people will just lay down and be done.
And most people
Yeah.
do, right? So it's like you got to be kind of the oddball. You got to be the anomaly and figure out how to, just like Seth said, how many people have dealt with a separated shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Millions.
Millions. Yeah.
You
Have
come
a
back
common
and did
injury.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, millions,
Yeah.
right? So it's like it's not this doom and gloom kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think one question for Seth that I wanted to ask on the podcast is, what was it that you decided to come to Forge?
Well, when I decided to leave CrossFit, Chances loves lifting.
Yeah,
And we had tried, so like towards the end of my CrossFit, if you want to say career of working out at CrossFit, and I was competitive. Like I was 100% all in CrossFit. Like when I was 40, I was 21 spots away out of the top 20. I finished 41st in the world in my age group out of 15,000 plus guys.
wow,
Crazy.
And so I was that close to going to the games.
Yeah,
And I was all CrossFit. Well, as I started having some ailments and some little things, if there was a programmed workout, when I sold it to Mandy, and there was a programmed workout and working construction now, I would, if it was deadlifts and I was going to be on a roof that day,
No
I'm
way.
like, I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go to the, I just started going to the Y on those days.
Yeah, yeah.
And didn't make a big show of it.
Nope.
But the Y, great place, but just not for me.
Yeah.
The atmosphere just wasn't what I was looking for. And I'm friends with Hartley, known Hartley a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I've known you guys, but not well.
Yeah.
You know, we'd say hi in passing,
Yep.
and that was about it. Anyway, I came over and Chance was like, we should check out Forge. And we came in that one morning, or I came in, Hartley was working out and the doors were locked and she happened to be here and I like pounded on the door and I just walked around and I was like, this has the feel that I feel like I can still get a great workout. I'm not sharing a bunch of equipment in the morning because at night I've heard it's really busy. But
in the morning it's
it's 5 people. Yeah, you don't. There's still there's chalk. There's the sled is my new favorite thing because with my ailments, it's like allowing me to still
push it
and make my legs just blow up some days, and it's good for my knees, my back, whatever. But just had a feel, so I was like, okay, we'll see what it costs, all that. So I talked to you guys. You guys were awesome about putting 5 of us on there on our membership. And I came in and it just kind of clicked. And for a while at CrossFit, I was kind of getting, like I had an injury. I'd gone to jiu-jitsu and had a guy fall on my leg and it ripped the fascia away from my muscle. Yeah. So I went 6 weeks without going to the doctor. Thought it would get better. It was just it was just jiggly, my quad.
Fluid in there, yeah.
And so I finally go into Dr. Wasserberger, who was coming to CrossFit, and he drained it and pulled 66 cc's off it. And then every 3 days he was pulling fluid off it, and then it got to a point where there was some scar tissue, so there was a void space, so I had to have surgery on it.
Yeah.
During that time, I kind of quit squatting. The week after I did it, I did my last open workout, which had thrusters in it. And it didn't hurt. It burned when I would get to the bottom of the squat when it would stretch it out, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
If you touched it, though, like if I carried something and it whacked it, oh my God, about pissed myself. Yeah. But anyway, got that fixed. And during that time, I just kind of started, I'd look at the movements that were programmed for the day and I would make it a 30-minute AMRAP at a moderate pace, and I'd cut out a squat or whatever. And I kind of was starting to drift at that point, I would say, away from CrossFit.
Yeah.
And anyway.
As a necessity.
Yeah, as a necessity. And then, so now my workouts are very similar to that. Just kind of a circuit. Heart rate's 120, 130 for 40, 50 minutes. I'll get it up and just keep it there. And sweat. I can't sit still. I could never take a 5-minute break between lifting.
Yeah.
There is no way. I see guys looking at their phone, and I'm like, I don't know how you can come
pulling
here.
out the old folding chair, bag of gummy worms.
But I forgot where I was going with that. Got to talking. Yeah. But it just fit coming here, and everybody's been great. I think last weekend there was a kid here, and Mike saw me, and I was like, if your mom's okay with it, I'll show you how to deadlift.
Heck yeah.
A kid named Travis, and he's 3rd grade. So we went over to the bar and put 65 pounds. At first I showed him with a PVC. And he had been working out with his mom, so he was pretty warmed up. So I just showed him how to deadlift, and we did like 20 sets of 1 at 65 pounds. And he was all pumped. And it's just kind of cool atmosphere. I miss training kids especially. Yeah. Because you get that bond with those kids too. And like I still have kids that I trained that are 24 years old, 23 years old now.
They still think of you as coach.
Yeah, they go out of their way to come say hi when I see them, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, I don't know if I've told you this, but what I really appreciate, and we try to instill, like even on our Forge Directive, and I've seen you do this, and people have told me, I was like, you introduce yourself, you come up to new people.
Yeah,
like
that gal you were training, what's her name again? I forgot.
This morning, Jackie.
Yeah.
But like Seth goes out of his way, like, I don't know you, I'm going to say hi to you. Yeah, and that's like one of the things we have on our Forge Directive.
It's literally on the wall.
Yeah, it's like on the wall. But Seth lives that, as a former gym owner, just who he is. It's like those kind of people like you that are in our gym. Like we love having people like that because it does make the whole atmosphere and the culture there better.
Feel more welcoming.
Were you guys leery when I first started coming?
I wasn't sure what you were going to think of the place. I honestly was more leery of like, dude, is this equipment going to be enough for him?
Oh,
can he do what he wants to do?
Yeah,
here?
dude. What do I have to build?
I've changed what I do so much.
Yeah, we thought it was, and we were, and like I am. It's like we were very glad you came, and it's like you brought some people with you, and you've just been a good presence here, and it's like
they came after me. I didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. No,
I didn't like pull them in.
No.
Yeah. But
just like you help support us, and like we're very grateful that you are supportive of our gym. Your son just competed at the powerlifting meet we had.
Yeah, working with Chance was awesome too.
Yeah, Chance Chance really enjoys coming here too.
Yeah,
he never really liked the breathing hard aspect of
He's kind of
CrossFit.
powerlifter genes
Yeah.
in him.
He's
strong
more,
mofo. Yeah.
This is more his
He's built like a
wheelhouse.
block, so
Yeah.
He's just a tank. He's
But you
awesome.
guys have just been overall such a positive influence and like members that I think set a good example of like what we're looking for and we want our culture to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very grateful that you guys came and joined our gym and the presence that you bring.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think I told you yesterday when we sat and visited, I was like, I always didn't appreciate, I don't know, I'm trying to be politically correct again, really didn't appreciate when someone would come in and be too comfortable too quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, I trained people for a lot of years and whatnot, but it's not my place to train someone here. Now, if I see someone doing something really stupid, I will go say something to them, just be like, hey, maybe you ought to
But we
take
encourage
some weight
that
off.
part.
Yeah, just to watch. And but that first couple months, I was like, I don't want to be overly comfortable because that used to drive me nuts. Somebody would walk in and what they'd ask for, what they'd do, and it would drive me bonkers. So I think it's been a good, slow evolution of a relationship
ramp up.
too. So, and I'm not a CrossFitter anymore. I do CrossFit light, like I said.
Yeah.
It's a circuit training.
Diet
Yeah.
CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So.
Well, even that though, it's like you're one of those people that in the gym that go really hard, right? And I
Yeah.
love that there's people in there that do that because a lot of people they don't know what they're doing, they're going slow, and it's like there are people that, and that's what we like in general is like, and that's why we do it. We push ourselves really hard because it motivates people, right?
Yeah.
They see you getting after it, and we see members of the gym getting after it, and that like. We've had multiple people tell us it's like I started training at Forge. I've always been lifting, but like I'm getting PRs now, and they're not training with us.
And
Even
now
they're
I
just
want my
open gym.
numbers on the
Yeah.
board.
And they want to be on the board,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
like so there is just like people like you that are intense and push themselves
Yeah.
and like just are positive and friendly. It's
Yep.
like that bleeds out to the whole culture and the other people in the gym because they see that and they're greeted and they're I think it just creates this culture that we are trying to emulate is like, getting people to push their limits and grow and have a friendly community where it's just positive showing up to the gym.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of gyms and none in particular, but it's like you can go to a gym and no one's talking, no one's friendly, and maybe people are just sitting on the machines on their phones.
Yeah.
So it's like the people here that are coming here,
Give a little
like
bit.
we are grateful because they care and they push and they are like community focused and invite people in and they're excited that they're new and they're coming and they want to start getting into the gym.
You guys probably don't. I don't know. I shouldn't say you probably don't. But would you say that? Sorry, I'll get closer to this. I can't hear myself. Would you say that a majority of the people that have a membership use the membership?
I'd
Yeah.
say so.
Most
Unlike-
of them,
Yeah.
Unlike
You can kind of check on the fobs, right? Like who's actually using their membership.
yeah. It's. I think we're like probably around 70 to 80% people use their gym
that's
membership.
that's pretty
That's
good.
huge.
Yeah.
Especially for an equipment gym setting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Yeah.
times like people have and they just don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know like that's kind of the business model of like the
A lot of commercial gyms.
the commercial gyms that they just want someone to pay $39.99 a month and
They don't really end up
And they don't
showing
care
up.
if you
Or
come
they'll
or
show
not.
up during the New Year's and they buy their membership and they just don't come back.
yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that speaks really highly about what type of place this is because people want to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you buy a membership, and if it's not motivating, you don't have people in there. Like, if you're teaching people here, Seth, it's like, we encourage that. That's a service for self, dude. You're using your experience to help other people.
Yeah.
Like, that isn't stepping on any toes. That's
Good.
exactly what a
Teaching,
culture
you're
should be,
spotting, you're
right?
helping,
It's
yeah.
providing knowledge. But
Yeah. And I always approach it like, hey, can I give you a tip?
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
hard,
Like,
dude.
and not,
Yeah.
what the F are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
that as a coach. Like,
Yeah.
I would encourage that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we encourage that. We love that. And
Good.
I think, there's people that start lifting together here. They start spotting each other. They start doing workouts together.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a missing element in a lot of gyms. That's like a commercial or open gym
yeah,
setting.
I could see that.
And I just see in general here, people, you included, are just like super good at that. And
Yeah.
that's what we love and we encourage. That's why we write it on the wall, like the Forge Directive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is, welcome new people, be there to help them, spot them, give them tips,
And
Yeah.
take them under your
Boldly
wing.
go where no man's gone before. Push
And push
yourself,
yourself,
right?
yeah.
Pass
Yeah.
your limits.
Well, when I owned the gym too, I think it's changed now, but we used to stretch. And I know that everybody's like, stretching, you don't have to do it. It's more about the dynamic warm up. And I knew that, but I kept the stretch because you sit down to stretch next to somebody and I would lead the stretch or the trainer would lead the stretch and I had a
Perfect time to
routine.
talk.
all of a sudden conversations created,
Yeah.
the community is built,
Huge.
and it wasn't necessarily that was the best way to get people ready for the workout.
No.
Community part.
But also, it was an aging gym, and stretching was a part of every sport you did growing up and whatnot. So it was like nobody minded it.
No.
You know, the noon class was absolute chaos because everybody leaves work and they're like, I'm going to go visit with so-and-so. And it was herding cats at the noon class.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that it was the best for their physicality, but it was the best for the community.
Absolutely.
I really think that. And I think because you might have two people that never would speak before, and all of a sudden you look over and, you know, Brad and Jane are talking to each other, and it's like,
That's the coolest thing about the class setting.
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I used to do at I used to work at that CrossFit gym, like I told you, and every class, it doesn't matter if it's the same crew, like every time, like you do a meet and greet on the chalk talk. It's like we go over the coach will go over the workout, and then you got to all greet each other. And,
that's cool.
And if there's a new person, obviously they'd like, hey, we have a new guy here today. Say hi, introduce yourself.
That's awesome.
But they did that every class, every time, and it didn't matter if it was like the same 5 p.m. class over there. It's like, hey, just say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
And just start it off that way. It's like, hey, acknowledge each other, say hi to each other. I know you had a crazy day, but
Building
take a
family.
minute to make some eye contact and shake a hand and say hello.
Yeah.
And so when people do that in the open gym, that's even above and beyond, which I appreciate. It's like, you know, they're going over to be like, hey, I don't know you. I want to introduce myself.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
that makes a world of difference, I think, to especially new people. And then just, it's nice when you go to the gym and you know people, right? Like, I'm almost positive everybody that comes in early knows Seth, because it's like you're just that kind of guy, right? Like they know who you are.
Yeah.
So it's
everybody
like,
knows Seth and Sam.
yeah,
probably.
yeah, Sam. It's like, but that's awesome, because it's like you're building relationships and friendships, and you're not just putting your headphones in and don't talk to anybody at the gym, and you go to this gym just for a solo mission. It's like, I have friends and people I can hang out with or chat with.
And honestly, it's kind of nice while I'm working out now. I'm like, I don't mind stopping for a minute or two. Where at CrossFit, it's like, don't.
Yeah, you got to go.
Yeah,
Once you
like,
go, you're going.
Put your earbuds or the loud music's on and you're
just
going.
go,
And here, it's like, I've come, I don't know if it's maturing or laziness. It's one of the two, but it's like, sure, I'll sit and talk a little bit.
I mean, that's what we do when we lift as a crew. It's like our time to BS and talk too. It's like
so good for you though, for your mental health.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You get around, you are who your friends are. You know, if you want to hang out with a bunch of dirtbags, you're going to be a dirtbag. If you want to hang out with people that are driven, chances are it's going to rub off on you. I think I saw once where it said that productivity, just being within 15 feet of a high performer, increases productivity by like, it was ridiculous, like 25 or 30%.
Just being around.
Just being close to a high performer.
In proximity.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's again, like that's what the gym is like, right? Like if you're looking for positive people, it's like, hey, you're here bettering yourself, I'm here bettering myself. It's like, this is a group of people you want to socialize with. So I don't want them to be isolated little islands that just come here and don't have a community behind it.
Yeah.
For a long time, I had this vision of my open gym where there was no headphones allowed. You know, so people had to talk. I realized very soon that that's very hard to do. Even when you spend $30,000-$40,000 on a badass sound system, everybody's wearing their headphones.
Yeah. So here's, before I had like I called it my beast playlist on my phone. Super gay, but that's what I called it. And it was, I have all these like hardcore songs, PR songs, you know. So like when people were lifting heavy, I'd go change the music at the gym, you know, and this is how much I've changed. Now I listen to podcasts while I'm working out. I can hear, I only put one earbud in, so if I want to focus on the music, if it's a heavier lift or something, I can do that, or I can just turn on one of my songs, but otherse it's a podcast.
Yeah, usually for me it's White Girl Friday. I just listen to like Taylor Swift.
Embarrassed to play that over the speakers.
Evanescence. Yeah, that's why I put my headphones on. Britney Spears. But.
Evanescence is better than Taylor Swift.
Oh, I don't listen to Taylor Swift much.
She has some bangers.
I mean, there's some good ones.
Some bangers in there. Yeah.
What is it, Hot Girl Friday we play or whatever? Yeah.
But well, I think I think we're good.
This is a very long.
That's okay.
That's all right,
just thank you, Seth, for one coming into the culture. I mean, it means a lot. Especially two different realms, kind of combining and working together and alongside each other, and just But two, obviously, thanks for taking the time this morning to be on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me. I think if I could just say, like, for people that are thinking about a gym, check out Forge, but check out just gyms in general and find out what works for you. Because being unhealthy is not cool.
No.
Like people will just joke about their weight or their, gonna be diabetes, drinking their sodas, 5 sodas a day or 5 Monsters a day or whatever it may be. But get out and move and find somewhere where you fit in.
Yeah.
And every place is going to be different. And I've seen a variety of people in here, people that obviously know what they're doing, people that kind of just wander from machine to machine and don't know that they should do 3 sets of 15 or whatever. So they go do curls and they go do these little movements. Ask someone at the gym if they can help you, show you how to squat, show you how to deadlift, show you how to do those core movements, and don't be afraid to ask. And if it's a bother to people at that gym,
They don't belong here.
they don't belong. Yeah, they don't belong at this one, but find another gym that they do.
Yeah.
So
and always come up to us or yourself.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
we definitely encourage them and want to.
Yeah.
You can come to any of us and ask us questions.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean, people since I've been here have been absolutely great. Like I said, I was a little leery of what you guys would think when I first started, because I think the first time I met you was when I was laying carpet over at your mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
And I walk in, I'm in the back in the closet, and I hear you guys come in, and then all of a sudden these 2 fucking jack guys come to the back, and I stand up, and I'm like, holy crap. They got their big flannel insulated shirts on. And I'm like,
We were
oh, hey
bulking
guys,
back
what's
then.
going on? Yeah. And I remember I said, they were like, well, are you guys hungry? Your dad asked me, and I was like, no, I ate like 3 hours ago. And one of you goes, that was 3 hours ago.
I remember saying that. I was like,
You're like,
3 hours ago,
Yeah,
man?
3 hours
Snack
ago.
time.
So, but yeah, it's
Interesting.
been good. And I think that first month, as to be expected, it was like, just come in, and you guys are probably wondering what my intentions were or whatever. And it's good.
Yeah.
Worked out good.
That's
We're
awesome.
glad to have you.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to do something different. Well, that was the other thing we were going to talk about too. You know what? It's okay to change as you age or as you get older, as long as you keep moving. You don't have to stick on that horse of, I'm a power lifter and that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
No.
You have to look at it as it's a wellness thing, whether it's mental wellness, physical wellness. You can change. Like, I'm perfect example. I've done a number of things over the years. CrossFit was the one that stuck the longest, and I learned the most, whatever, but it's okay to change and do something different.
100%.
Yeah.
And you can still throw some of that stuff in every once in a while.
Yeah.
And do what you enjoy, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't have to be burnt out of anything.
Yeah.
You can
And if
always
you have
switch
an
it up.
issue with finding out what to do, talk to a gym owner and find out if they can program for you.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff, like we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
No,
That's
that's perfect.
great.
So-
I love that. Yeah.
so
Well,
awesome.
At the end of the day, build yourself, conquer adversity, and repeat daily.
Yes.
Do these things, and you will lead a great life. Punch the mic.
This has been the Forged in YO podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Seth, for joining us. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and Facebook. And I think some of the guys also have threads now.
Yep.
So check them out on that. Thanks. Bye.